Explain the process for those who have no idea what a semiconductor and a chip is, that don't even understand that a solar panel is actually a little computer chip.
I actually had a problem from the toxic chemicals, and I had to go to an environmental doctor. I had to go through a detox,
And
and
what
I'm
were
going
the
to be.
chemicals?
But they had we have all these chemicals in the acid, the carts. They had the solvents and all that stuff.
Trichloroethylene. What about the BCl3, the boron trichloride?
That's not too. I mean, if you're sniffing that, but you really don't. You're really not exposed to that much. That kind of stuff. But
Because it's in the tubes,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it goes out the stack into the city air.
Well, yeah,
Then there's the arsenic, right, for the implant.
yeah. On that one, I really watched out for that one. These accelerators, and you ionize the part the whatever you want to boron or whatever you're trying to select. That ion goes in, it bombards and penetrates with acceleration, to do your ion.
Basically, for those who don't know what ion implant is, it's like trying to put a solid into a solid. You can't do it no matter how hard you push. Ion implant means you put so much energy to it and heat or pressure. You literally push something solid into something else.
We're actually counting the each charge when it hits the silicon. You kind of integrate all that stuff, and you can very accurately compute the dose that's necessary for all the stuff when you do the diffusion and from the implant.
What I'm getting at, Gary, is people think they can recycle solar panels, and you can't. That silicon once it's been implanted with stuff.
If you built an incinerator, captured and didn't leak any gases. We melt, smelt, and then from rock extract all the stuff out of it. Yeah,
What you're speaking of now,
no, no, no. Yeah, this
it's
is the few.
hypothetical. It's not actually, we don't have it.
No, but they're working on that, and that's the only future way of handling these things.
But at
Potential.
this point in time, you throw
No,
your solar panel in the ground, you can't recycle. It can't be.
no, there's a lot of stuff that's locked in, I
Mhm.
mean, unless it's very soluble.
When I throw my solar panel away 20 years from now, I'm not looking at the chemistry. I'm putting it in the trash or calling the pickup to do it.
Well, yeah, yeah, it's going to be part of the landfill,
Well, then
and
let's talk about your solution. You're talking about not just for solar panel, but for anything, our waste, basically incinerating it to the 10th degree, to like a super incineration, right?
yeah, but you cannot release any gases. So
So
to turn it
is the
back.
purpose to make a rock that's still toxic, but it's
Well, yeah, well, in the case of radioactive, for example, all your bad organics are gone, like benzenes and all these nasty carcinogenic chemicals.
because
They're
you
all broken
oxidize
up.
them to you
They're
burn them,
all
you
broken
oxidize.
down into very yet at that high temperatures, all the carbon stuff kind of does.
People don't understand when you burn something, combustion, the byproducts are carbon dioxide and water vapor, right?
Right, right. But
What do you
yeah,
tell those people? I'm not one of them who are panicking over global warming because they think carbon dioxide is the problem. You're basically talking about making a bunch of carbon dioxide. You're going to break that benzene down into something less harmful with the oxygen and the heat, but the byproducts are going to be carbon dioxide and water vapor.
yeah. But see but even though you might have some of that stuff floating around, it's not. It's still in this bubble, and then you take the melt, which is kind of molten rock,
Mhm.
and comes out, and then anyway. So
But anyway,
it's a.
this is on paper though, where they don't really.
Oh, well, yeah, but we haven't solved all those problems, but that's a particular thing. This
Okay,
is in
was
the
one
future.
other thing that came to mind, not to beat up your solutions here, because
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
solutions guy. One reason we might not have it is we built the solar panels to conserve energy. And now we're talking about using a huge amount of energy to break the old solar panels down into molten waste, molten rock.
Yeah, that's part of the cost.
which we might also have used that power to begin with instead of
Right,
making the solar
right,
panel.
right, right.
Save ourselves all the trouble, the steps, the technology, the whole process.
Here's what I don't know. If you take a solar panel, you got the metal around it, you got whatever it is, and
You
then
got
you got
silver and possibly some lead if it's built
yeah,
in China and whatnot, or the
well, you have
soldering. There's silver, there's gold,
yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah.
precious metals, but they're embedded in ways it's not easy to salvage.
I would like to see some experiments where they bury something and then see what happens to it when they expose it to stuff that's exposed in the ground with certain pressure and all that stuff. It's chemistry that's going on. It depends.
I'm
That
not worried about the leach out. It's just the principle that people think solar is so the holy grail.
well, yeah, but just the way all of the effects of and you have to figure health effects. I mean, I had some problems with that when
My position on it again is the health of the planet. You're
well,
burying something in the ground that is toxic, and yet you're saying that this is the best thing ever and it's free energy and it's solar is the greatest thing. And it's not recyclable. It's toxic to make. Yes, we're not burning gas or oil, maybe. Is there a hybrid solution, a third solution, another type of, besides nuclear power, of course, that's clean all through the cradle to grave, the whole life cycle? In the last year, I couldn't wrap my head around what are people talking about renewable. It's not renewable. And then someone goes, yeah, it's the sun that comes up every day. And I'm like, well, it comes up every day, but how is that renewable? I mean, the sun itself is not really renewable. It's got a life cycle too. But that term they're using as if it's free and it has an impact.
to make it easier to pollute. I mean, that's what's going on now here. Not
Well,
good.
Gary, it was easy back when I worked with you. The permit landed on my desk for pollution while the people around the community, complained about seeing colored plumes. And I wouldn't sign it because as the new engineer, I'm like, I don't know if we're not polluting. And it was our manager that said, Dan, you just do the equations and then we have the scrubber and it cleans the air 90, 99%. And then you only put out 1% and the city allows that. And
Yeah,
okay, how do we know it works? The scrubber. Whenever you have chemistry, you assume one byproduct, maybe formaldehyde, carbon dioxide, water vapor, whatever. Simplify. There's all those intermediate reactions in chemistry.
right.
And that's not accounted for. And how do you know your scrubber cleans that? So they took me up to see this big scrubber, which was huge, like a big room with air with a water cascading, like a swamp
Okay.
cooler and
Yeah, 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 yeah.
$1 million air scrubber. But
Right, right.
how do we know it works?
Well, though how it works is you measure stuff. You measure stuff coming out of the air. You
Yeah, we
measure.
never did. We never
No,
did.
but that's being stupid. Okay.
Here's how people understand how the real world works, even Intel right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You buy the scrubber, the company says it works. Your boss is like, well, it wouldn't even be our job as engineers making this, it would be facilities. The facilities would install it. They did install it. I didn't even know the thing existed. We're down below, on this 3-story building in the middle, building stuff, and in the top and the bottom of the facilities.
Uh,
Nobody's job is to go, the city is not making us. It would take the
right,
city
right,
making us do that. And the city won't make you do that because it's politics and economics, and they don't
right.
know.
Yeah, I want to say something about all of this stuff, the political and all that kind of stuff. Basically, for science to work, you need to decouple it from sinister kind of like companies that are pushing for something they know is bad, and whatever, and then they hide stuff and whatever. And they sometimes they try to sell placebo effect thing. There's all kinds of weird stuff going on like that. So to be intelligent about it, and science really does work, but you has to be uncorrupted in, science, so to speak. And basically, our understanding of things, our knowledge of things, has to be more pure, and going for truth the best we know, and trying to figure stuff out. And of course, everything the companies are trying to hurry stuff up, get it out the door, whatever, make their money and all that stuff. And so we lose a lot of things, and bad things happen. We lose understanding because it's not ready yet, because we haven't investigated the problems.
It
Right?
wasn't totally sinister. If I'd shut the process down, well, if I hadn't, I didn't sign it. Someone else signed it.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, if we had gone, you know what, we're going to shut it down until we figure out a way to measure what's coming out of stack. Because how do you even measure that chemistry and what's the equipment? There'd be thousands of people potentially unemployed or laid off if we stop production. And we don't even know if we really are polluting, and nobody's making us do it. It's not completely sinister.
Well, no, no, it's a lack of information a lot of times because and understanding.
As a society in general, when we build something new for technology. So the question is, you're the older guy. When you built it, why didn't you go, okay, before we
Build what? Build what? Build what?
I'm assuming you go back to
I
development
was
of
just
like,
solid state physics guy, right?
okay, okay, so whoever built the process to begin with, this is go the history of mankind through
Yeah.
the history of the industrialization. It's we need to build like steel factories. We need steel first. Well, what's coming out the stack? Well, it doesn't matter. We need jobs. We need to compete.
The externalities here that we're not looking at.
As a society, if we really care for the planet, we shouldn't let something new operate until we make sure it's good for the environment. And then the question is, how good? Is it 99% clean, which means 1% pollution's going there, or is it 90% dirty? Who's going to decide that? We don't, it's driven by economics, money, like you say, not greed,
Yeah.
just
Well, okay. Now here's what we're up against now, and this is the overall aspect of it.